Good evening, Vivian. Good evening, Andrés. Thank you very much for joining me today on the Baptist Universe. A pleasure to welcome you guys. And finally,
Thank
see
you.
you face to face for, by the way, or face to face, I should say,
Yeah,
eh, screen to screen, maybe.
perhaps.
Indeed. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
So we are going to have a chat on beta reading because this is something that we've been working on for some time together. You have helped me a lot with beta reading, but also ARC reading and even reviews in general. So we are going to talk about what is beta reading, what kind of weirdos do beta reading, because I must admit, I must be frank with you. You are all very weird, but we love you, and authors are even weirder. So we are just a bunch of weirdos trying to make stories here, and you help us so much. But the way I see it, beta readers are like people who want to watch a movie before the FX has been applied. So it's like watching Star Wars on a green screen. So that's how I picture beta readers
With
in my
people
mind.
swinging things.
So
Uh,
we are going to talk about beta readers, how to work with beta readers from an author point of view, but also how beta readers would love to work with authors more often, what to expect, and also where to find beta readers, because this is a big question I receive quite often from writers without unpublished writers, but also published writers who maybe sometimes struggle to find beta readers. Before we begin, maybe you can introduce yourself very quickly and what's your what has been your journey with beta reading so far. Ladies first, Vivian, please.
Oh,
So,
thank you very much.
sure.
All right, I'm Vivian, and I first began beta reading probably 8 years ago, and I was working with an author who actually owns art galleries and writes some really interesting stories. And he recently reached out to me again, and I'm working on the third book in a trilogy he's written. I've worked on the other two. But it's been an interesting journey. I kind of jumped in with both feet a year ago in May, and just kind of asked Andy Peliquin if he needed any more beta readers just out of the blue. I'm like, okay. If he says no, that's fine. But and since then, I read.
You started from the top, basically.
I'd been on his on his like email list, but he also, one of the things that made it easier to approach him about it was the fact that he always engaged. So I could respond to those newsletters, and I would get a response back, and I would answer questions, that he would have in there. He'd pose these different things and scenarios, whatever, and I would answer and blah, blah, blah. So then I followed him on socials and stuff like that. But I guess he liked the work that I did enough that I've done all of his subsequent writing since book 8. And that includes a secret project I'm working on with him right now. And so it's been a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And from that, it's really snowballed. And I enjoy it immensely. I've got, I just did an alpha read actually. So I was working with the author from the very roughest stages, and it's now with the beta readers, but it's so much fun.
So for people who maybe don't know, so the difference, beta reading is the stage where the book has been edited several times, usually by the writer themselves, and then passed on to some lovely people, kind souls, for a bit of reviewing, what works, what doesn't. It could be many different kinds of issues there, from plot to writing, grammar, and character pace, all of this. Alpha reading is even earlier than this. This is right after the first draft, usually. So it takes a lot of confidence for a writer to send an alpha read to someone, a lot of trust into this person. This is the worst the book will ever be. So you did alpha reads. That's brave from you and from the writer.
Absolutely. It was a huge amount of trust. afforded to me to do this. And it was myself and two other people, Andres, and it was one, Ariana.
So now, good.
Ariana.
So Andres, please, would you mind introducing yourself too then?
Sure. Name is Andrés. I live in Uruguay, but that's not an impediment right now with all the technology around in the world. So my first beta read was in fact yours, Baptiste, with the Blood of the Kami. And I literally went with 2 feet in, full steam ahead. I did what was a very experimental beta read for me because I made a lot of comments regarding not only what worked, but some things about the editing, perhaps of the finer grain of the feeling and the scenes, how that worked and how that not. And we developed a big rapport with Blood of the Kami. You were in a stage where it was tethering, and I think it would have been a crime if it were shelved. And I loved the book, and it's been, I wouldn't say smooth sailing since then, because it's not easy also to find better reads, because I guess authors are very reticent to send their babies to the world to be criticized, critiqued, looked upon, and scrutinized, dissected in a way that's very strange, because we're beta readers, we are kind of editors, proofreaders, readers, arc readers, we're writers at times, because we find phrases and we suggest how that would be a better phrase or a better scene. So it's a very delicate balance. A better reader has to walk at every paragraph, in fact. Sorry. And I loved that line to walk, that towing that line. And I love to develop the rapport with the writer, because that allows you to know the voice of the writer, and how knowing that voice helps you read that book, and then you can take that to other reads. I think a better reader it's kind of a Frankenstein's monster, where you kind of start grafting stuff from other writers, other books, and they live with you forever. We're not regular writers. I feel that, because I see. I don't want to diss them, but most regular readers just read a book and then shelve it, unless it's mind-blowing. But better readers kind of live with that forever. we can't.
Yeah, this was going to be my next question. Is in order to understand, for people, especially for writers, to understand the mindset of better readers, is really. I think what we don't understand sometimes is what pushes you to better read. What do you get out of it? Now, before you answer this question, I need to tell the viewers that Vivian and Andrés have both helped me quite a lot on several books, either as beta readers or arc readers or reviewers, like I said earlier. And not only they helped me a lot, but you guys have been some of the best beta readers or arc readers I've worked with. I've had the pleasure of working with, and you have such an eye for the editing side of it, for the writing, the punctuation, all those things that I may struggle with sometimes. So working with you, it's almost like a pre-editing or small editing. Not that small. I think Vivian sent me 700 notes on the last beta read she did for me. And then Andrés, you actually have a channel now, a YouTube channel where you discuss your beta reading experiences, or more generally the books you are reading. Do you want to talk a bit about that as well?
Yeah, well, yes, thank you. I have a channel. It's Andrés Early Reads. I guess we'll put a link when this goes live. It's a channel where I try to focus mostly on ARC and ARC books, advanced review copies, and better reads. And kind of, I try to show people what entails to be a better reader. I pull a little the curtain, but it's very hard to pull the entirety of the curtain, because the way I read, the way I better read, I process every paragraph, every sentence in a way that you can't do diagonal reading. You can't go skipping paragraph. I don't care about this, and don't just go for the action scenes or the dialogue scenes, and everything is just fluff. Better reading, when you're doing better read, you can do that. You have to go step by step. You have to digest. You have to process everything you're reading, and sometimes, many times, very often, you have to go back several
like,
scenes.
what did I just read?
Yes. This it's very common when you find a phrase that doesn't make sense, and then that phrase comes from 20 pages before, and that doesn't also make sense.
Right.
Because sometimes you miss things. That's very human. So you go back and make a note on that 20 pages before, then go back to 20 pages later. And
I've just done that.
Yes, it's just like that. But it's very fun because you become a better reader when you are a better reader, because you get into the art of reading and into the art of writing. It's in a sense, for better readers, it's a joy and it's a job.
That's what I was going to say. In your case, in both your cases, you turn better reading into something professional, almost. I mean, for you, Andres, it is professional. Vivian,
Yes.
It feels professional. Not all beta readers need to work like this. So if you are thinking about beta reading, don't think for 1 second writers expect this of every beta reader. Do not get frightened by what Andres just said. Now, like I was saying, I want to understand you guys a bit more. What do you get from beta reading? You mentioned already a few points here, but like, what is the pleasure you find in beta reading?
Vivian?
I really enjoy helping the author bring the best possible book they can to the readers. And that is my goal when I do the beta reads. I want to make sure that that this comes out and it is just like makes it shine. And I'm very cognizant of that. I'm very aware that, if I miss something, it could
derail
alter someone's perception of whether or not they're enjoying it. And as Andres had mentioned, that you're reading, we're reading along, and you realize, oh, that from 20 pages ago, that doesn't make sense with this. And actually there's a whole section in the beta read that I'm doing right now that I'm like, this particular thing wouldn't be in this particular place because of this consequence of it. But it's an important part of the plot. So I'm trying to see if there's a way to
how could the writer fix that? Yeah.
Yes.
And this is so important for writers. This is what they need to understand about using beta readers. Is maybe you don't need to use beta readers all the time, but I definitely advise you to have some beta readers with you on your journey, because you spend hundreds of hours, painting this canvas with tiny leaves. You go leaf by leaf, and you forget to sometimes, take a step back and look at the whole forest. And that's what beta readers do, because they will read your work in a few hours. Whereas even when you edit your work, it will take sometimes 30, 40 hours. So they have this step back that you cannot have as a writer. And they will find all those plot holes that you would miss even if you edited your own book 20 times, 25 times. So because you know what's going to happen next. They don't. Beta readers don't.
True.
So, yeah.
And
Go ahead, Andrés.
there's a funny thing, because the writer knows everything in the book, and they've gone so many times through it that they will miss things. In fact, I think I want to make an important point about the importance of beta readers. It's that they provide energy to the writer too, because they react in a very natural, pristine way to the work, something the writer many times loses after the second, third, fourth editing pass. And in fact, I had my first professional beta read was a writer that was about to quit, because he had an awful experience with his editor. And he told me, give me reasons for me to not quit, to not throw this book to the bin. And that's heartbreaking to read, to hear. And
Absolutely.
I read the book, which is really good. It needed more work, yes. But the bones, the structure, the muscles were good. It needed more makeup, a little more hair, but it was a really good book. I told him.
Yeah. And this is really the core here, is like beta readers are going to be the first person who will react, like you said, to your book. And it's like watching a movie that you love with someone who doesn't know this movie, and you look at them more than you watch the movie. You look at them like, why is she not laughing?
Right.
This is my favorite scene, and this is what it feels like to have great beta readers. And Andrés was. Andrés' beta reading of Blood of the Camille was exceptional in that way, because every morning I would wake up, because of the time difference, with like a bunch of notes, telling me, that's awesome, I didn't see that coming, or this guy is so awful, and this is what you need. You need people to champion your work even before it gets published, and beta readers are very good at this. But also beta readers can tell you when something doesn't work, when a character is not nearly as likable as you thought he would be or she would be. So then like I said, you have a lot of different beta readers, and some are not nearly as detailed as the two of you, and that's fine too. I have a bunch of beta readers who I don't hear from them as long as they read, and at the end I'll have 2-paragraph reviews. But that's great, then you get the chance to ask questions the way you can't with your final readers, like the readers of the published work. You can say, okay, so did this character work for you? Do you think he could be improved, or did you see this betrayal coming? For me, that was on the Undead Samurai. That was one of my big questions. Is like, did you see that coming? And like people are like, no. I was like, oh, great. And then some people are like, yeah, from page 1. And that's fine. That's fine. But you need to know. You don't need to, but it's so much better to know if your book is working for people. Now, I think it's also important for people who want to do beta reading to understand authors, and something that maybe beta readers underestimate is how scary it is for writers to get in touch with beta readers, especially the first time. Because, like I said, most of my books, they might take me 300 to 500 hours before I think they are ready for a beta reading stage, right? And then you send it to a stranger, someone who may not have any experience in beta reading, someone who is not, who didn't beta read for your for other writers that So someone who can very well steal your work and then publish it with a minor editing, So this is why beta readers need to build up a bit of a reputation, or before they get to the point of having good beta reads, basically. So this is the first thing I think is quite important, is like authors tend to be scared of sharing their work, not only because it is scary to give something that hasn't been professionally edited, but also because, it might get stolen and then published or posted online or whatever. And the second thing is, from my conversation with different writers, I find that very often we don't want to bother you guys. So when we send those manuscripts, we're like, oh my god, those people, we don't pay them. Most of the time, we don't pay beta readers, and they're still working on my stuff. This is exceptional to have this level of commitment. So we don't want to exaggerate. Like, can you tell me more here, or can you maybe go deeper into this point that you mentioned? So what do you think of this? What should be our relationship as writer and beta reader? How could we make it even funnier? So I don't know. Who wants to speak first? Andrés, maybe?
Okay. I think it's twofold. The relationship between the writer and the beta reader. First, someone that wants to do beta read will not think you're bothering them. That's the first thing. Someone that feels beta reading will be ecstatic to be offered a beta read. In fact, when I get ARCs, many times I treat them as if they were beta reads.
Yes.
I make endless comments to authors on ARC reads. I do play-by-plays almost. With some authors love that. Truly, they love that. I think that's incredible, and for me, it's just a natural thing. I see something I like, I comment that. I see something I don't like, I comment that, and they really engage with that. And in beta read, it's like that, but on a deeper level. So that's very powerful as a reader. You have that engagement with a writer.
You do.
Yeah, plus the big difference here is, like, when you get a big pile of comments on ArcRead, it sucks a little bit for writers, because you already paid your editor to edit the book, and you're like, oh, I don't want to get back to, I cannot rewrite this book, and then, so many troubles out of this. Usually the book is already in a pre-publishing stage, so it can be pre-ordered and all of this. So that's why you should have as many beta readers as possible for making the book better, and as many ARC readers as possible to promote the book, to help you promote the book. The purpose for the writer is very different. Now, for the beta reader and ARC readers, it might be the same. So, what do you think, Vivian, about this? How can we help, as a writer, make the relationship work even better with beta readers?
I know, like, initially I was a little more reticent about putting out my thoughts on some things. I didn't want the authors to think that I knew their vision better than they did, or something like that. I didn't want them to see my thoughts or my edits or whatever as somehow slighting what they'd written. But I have come to have a really good rapport, and they know that when I say something, well, I think this might work better, I don't like say, write it this way. I always soften it by saying, all right, well, this is my opinion about this. What do you think? If it's egregious, then I'm like, you got to change that.
Big caps letters, exclamation points. This is wrong.
Yeah, there's a phrase from an author I've worked with, and every time I came across it, I was like, oh, I'm like, delete this. And finally I was just like, and then there was a new one, and I said, this has become the other one. You gotta stop using this, because it was just, oh my God.
Yes.
And, I'm like, no, don't ever say that again.
I know what it feels like. I had this in many reviews as well. Like some of my early reviewers was saying, like, can you stop saying he came back into the now, or he came back to the moment? Or it's like, oh my God, I didn't know I used it so often. It's pretty awful. But yeah, but I think you do have beta readers that are way harsher than you guys, but it's also important too. You need to be okay with this as a writer. Like, not every beta reader is going to care for you. Like give you those sandwich reviews, with two slices of good thoughts, happy thoughts, and then in the middle, what is not that great. So you can't always have this. You need straightforward beta readers too. Yeah.
You do.
So,
because we do have your best interests at heart. Honestly. Yeah. That's how I approach it. And I don't know.
Exactly. Beta readers are not like reviewers. They have your best interest at heart. Reviewers sometimes don't. They can be so mean, guys.
Right.
So now, next question is where to find beta readers, especially with your first book. So for many writers, this is a struggle. They're finding a beta reader without any reputation or without any previous book published. It can be hard. So where do you guys hang out? Do you have like a beta readers farm somewhere where we can just pick you? Like, I like this one.
I really wish. I really wish we had a farm like that, Baptiste. But no, that's not.
Too bad.
It's kind of like if you see an author, they're talking about, they got this book in the works and it needs beta readers. I'll keep, and we see that a lot on social media platforms. On X, they do. That's where actually a lot of ARC reads pop up. But I've been recommended before. That was probably the most gratifying thing that's ever happened with this. But I wish there was a better way to do that, unless it's something like, I don't know, we put out names of authors we worked with, maybe, and you can see, and you can reach out to them possibly as a means of finding out what they thought of working with us. But I mean, like, we need like a betareaders.com or something.
a registry of beta readers who you worked with, and then we give you like little stars as a beta reader.
We get a star rating.
In my case, I started with you, Baptiste, through X, Twitter, and I have a Ko-Fi where I can be professionally hired for beta reads, depending on the amount of pages, the fee. But I can give you references. But I also found beta reading through ARCs, because, as I said, I read ARCs as if they were beta reads, and as I make comments to some authors, they tell me, I need you for my next beta read. I need you for my next book. In fact, I had a writer who sent me his ARC, The Lost Company. He also had issues with his editor, and he was very frustrated. And I fixed a lot. I couldn't fix everything because, for real, the editor did an awful job. But the book was great, and Michael Maguire was very happy with me and told me, I'll get you on my next book, and it was an ARC. So if you're I tell you, reader, if you're reading an arc, comment things to your writer.
Yes.
Tell him things you don't like, you like. Make it work. It's a relationship. It's symbiotic. If you perhaps you even find yourself in doing better reads, because if you like to read, you will love better reading, because it will hone, it will sharpen your reader instincts, your reader mind. It will make you a better reader. I have a video how to be a better reader. I did not put to be a better reader, but I can add it.
Yeah, let's put that in the description as well. So from my experience, so I started writing very seriously in 2017, 2018. And back then, finding better readers was mostly through better reading groups on Facebook. I'm sure they still exist. And then you have Reddit pages where you can connect with better readers. You can join Discord servers of your favorite writers or reviewers. Your favorite reviewers on YouTube or Instagram usually have Discord servers where people exchange thoughts on better reading and arc reading and all of this. But like I said, usually the most troublesome, the most difficult moment to find a better reader is with your first book. So my advice to writers with their first book is to better read themselves for other writers who might swap, and that's a lot of work. You might not feel like you have the energy to better read something after you just wrote a whole book, but this is the beginning of a strong relationship with other writers. This is a necessary step. You can exchange just one chapter at first to see if that's a good match with other writers, and this will go a long way to help you sharpen your skills. And then you end up becoming friends with writers who might make it later. So get in touch with writers and see if you can swap chapters or whole books.
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to say, I think a lot of you are open to that. I think I see that happen in exchanges, I've seen between other authors and saying, oh my God, I got this book from so-and-so and they gave me theirs. And, and how that relationship becomes like a nice symbiotic relationship. And I think you get the encouragement from someone who is doing what you were doing, not just from a beta reader, but from an author. And I think that's an invaluable perspective to have.
That's true. No, that's very true. Now, the only problem is we tend to be shy about criticizing each other's. So because we're like, I know you struggle so much, but maybe, no, you can't do this. You need better readers to tell it to your face.
To be straight. Yes.
Yeah. As an author, you cannot do that with another author unless you are like very famous with like you're a 7 figures writer. Then you can look down on other writers in a nice way and tell them what's wrong. But if you are just trying to make it as a writer, telling to another writer what they did wrong is very difficult. It's not a great look, So that's why better readers are so important.
It's funny. I got a book recently. I'm sorry. As an arc. No. Is this an arc? No. I got it just to read.
All right.
It's someone in a Discord that I'm a member of. And it was edited by someone very well known. And I thought, wow, I was actually a little bit surprised by some of the things that I was finding as I was reading it. And I read who did the editing, and I thought, oh my. I mean, really, I was...
aghast.
Yeah. All
right.
And a little upset because I know that this was not an inexpensive edit. It couldn't have been based on that. Man.
Some easy mistakes and everything that could have been avoided. Yeah, I think that's a whole topic, like working with editors and how to find editors. And there is way more than just how much do they cost, though it is quite important too, but it's not the only thing that matters here.
No, and the reputation of this particular person is quite up there.
And there's a new issue that's cropping up with editors that they just drop the book on an AI machine and tell it proof check. Edit is. Yes, I found that. And they charge you
it's not uncommon.
fortunes. And
you
get the book and you want to rip your eyes out.
Oh
yes, no, that's
quite often their process is not that bad. It's not just AI, but it's first AI and then a second look, and you miss a lot when you do like this, so that's why finding great editors is it's becoming a skill. It's becoming harder, I felt like it was becoming harder, but that was the same for book cover artists too, if you want to go that way. Like when I was looking for my first cover artist, some of the book covers I had were beautiful, but they were all AI, except that was in 2022, sorry, and so we were not trained yet to recognize AI. That was quite obvious when you look back on it, but back then I was like, wow, this is amazing, and it took me a couple of days to realize some of those covers I received as samples were all AI made, So that goes beyond the beta reading conversation. So let's keep it.
It's adjacent, because beta readers have to deal with that too, because they have to recognize when there's shoddy editing and tell the author, because they deserve to know that.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely,
it's very related.
They do.
So let's talk about the process of beta reading more on the practical matter. So this can vary a lot according to beta readers, but both of you, what kind of format do you like to beta read on? Do you prefer PDF, Google Docs? It can be EPUB or Word. What is your favorite format for your beta read?
Well, since getting slammed with a bunch this year, I've come to love Google Docs, because those corrections can be seen immediately and addressed immediately. I'm doing one that is not on it right now, and it's making me wild because I have to do the whole book before the author can see any of the edits.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I want to say, Google Docs, put it on Google Docs, because you will see exactly my notations in the moment
as they happen.
I have to concur here. I love the books on Google Docs, but I want to use Warlords of Owari here as an example, because Baptiste sent me the EPUB and sent me the book on a Google Doc. So for me, it was perfect, because I go everywhere with my Kindle. So I read it and then I make notations on the book. I find the spot on the book on the Google Doc, and then I make notes. But I had other authors that they tell you that they prefer a single document at the end. So you go working, trudging more like on a Word document, and then send it at the end. And it's, oh my God, please don't do this again to me. Yes, it's heartbreaking to hold all of that, because you have like 300 notes. Sometimes it's delete this dot is wrong, this letter is not, and you go
right. It's like little things. It's just
it's maddening. And
I get it.
I want to
get that.
I want to tell every writer seeing this: do a debrief session with your beta reader. Have questions. Have this scene. Does it work how did it work for you? this character, how does he come across? The spicy scene, is it working as intended?
Right. Is it cringe?
Yes, exactly. As a writer, you have to make a debrief session with your beta reader. That's vital. That's super, super important. Unless it's a relationship like I have with Baptiste, and we're chatting every time, every moment. So the debrief is instantaneous, practically. Or he wakes up to 200 notes, and then he goes clicking.
Yeah, that's what happened with Vivian.
I'm sorry, I know. I was like, "You're gonna kill me!"
Oh my God, like waking up to 700
I literally was like, "He's going to kill me when he sees these notes."
No, that was perfect. You know what? That's great.
But
So and yeah. So I had beta readers asking me for PDFs. I have actually a couple of beta readers who prefer PDF for some reason.
oh my God!
And I don't know. Yeah, I don't understand how they work with it, but that's a choice, you know. That's like maybe it works better on the phone. I have no idea. Yeah, but I know for me my preferred format is Google Docs. I love sending Google Docs and receiving those instant notifications. So like whenever you guys close the document for the day, then I receive an email and you get 35 notifications or editing notes or whatever it is.
Right.
And this is great. Plus, I can spy on you, like see if you guys are actively working on it. So,
I wonder. Because I'll look and I'll go, "Huh? I wonder if they're like watching when I like, pause and."
I don't watch what you are doing as you are doing it. I just check if the icon is there, and not in a bad way. I'm not like supervising you or anything. It's just
No.
It feels great to think that someone is reading your book. No matter, that's the only way you can know for sure, right? When someone buys your book later, you don't know if they are reading it at this particular moment, but when they are beta reading on Google Doc, you get to know. So this is great.
Going back to the question, what we get as beta readers, one of the things I love is when a writer tells me, "Great insight," or "It's impressive how you notice this little detail that will come to the fore 300 pages ahead," and that's as a reader, that's incredible. You feel ecstatic when you get praised by the writer for your reading. So not only that, you can tell the writer you did a great job because it came across perfectly, and the setup for that reveal in 200 pages, it's well done. Yeah. So it's very symbiotic.
I think I need to tell the story of your first beta reading with my book Blood of the Cami here a little bit, because Blood of the Cami, so the book here, I kept it nearby for everyone to see, is my first young adult book, and so I didn't have problems finding beta readers because I had already published 5 books before I looked for beta readers for this one, except all my other books are already adults. Stories, and half of my usual beta readers did not finish this book, and I started to get a bit depressed about it. Like, should I shelve it? Because it felt like half of the people don't like it, while usually they like my book. And then I realized, wait a minute, but that's not the same readership, So if your usual readers don't like this book, it doesn't mean the book is bad. It means it worked as intended as a young adult. So I started searching for other beta readers. That's when Andrés came in and gave me this glowing review and all those beautiful notes as he read them. And by the end of this beta reading, I was like, okay, I have to publish this book. Some people, no matter how many, will love this book, and this is great. Now, on the second, the even deeper level, when it comes to Andrés' beta reading of Blood of the Cami, because Andrés gave me some ideas unwillingly, I should say. Because he was like, he would say sometimes, "Oh, I'm sure your character is going to do this. Oh, I'm sure," and I was like, you know what? That's really not a bad idea. And there is one quick example is like there is a confrontation between a character and his arch enemy, a Tengu. And in my book, the main character just cuts the Tengu's arms off. So he cuts the arm, right? That's how I just wanted it to be simple. And Andres was like, "Oh, I'm sure he's going to use that power." And I was like, "Huh, I didn't mean to, but you know what? That's a great idea." And it changed the whole plot for the next 4 books. So by better reading and giving your ideas, most of them will not be taken upon by the writer, but some will, and will change the story for the better. So the next book in this series is going to be called Voice of the Kami. This idea of a voice came straight from comments from Andres that of course, I changed it and adapted it to what I had in mind. But yeah, this is how a relation between writer and beta readers can evolve and what it can bring to the future of a book or a series. So really think hard who you are letting into your world and the impact they can have. So that's what I meant. So, and how long does it take for you to better read a book compared to how long it would take you simply to read it?
There's a big difference.
Like 20-30% more time, because I usually read arcs, so that's my standard time. So and I usually make notes to the writers. My 98% of my books are indie books, so I usually make comments to the authors. So there's not a lot of difference for me between an arc, a regular book, or a beta read. In a beta read, I go a little deeper because my notes are a little more elaborated. But 25-30% more. I can read about 100 pages per day, give or take, depending on how engrossing the book is. For example, of Empires and Dust, the book 4 from The Bound and the Broken, that's 1,400 pages long. I devoured it in a week.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was. It's bonkers. The book is bonkers. It's incredible. I would have killed people to do the better read for that book.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
I'm not
you should tell Ryan.
He knows.
That was really fun, wasn't it? That was a
He
great
knows.
arc.
The queue for better reading in his Discord is like huge. Yeah, no, yes. Even the ARC readers, even the ARC team it's full, and it has a queue, and we love Ryan.
I can only dream of this at this moment. Like having people fighting for your better reads and arcs.
Look, I'm going to tell you this, right? I'm going to tell you this, Baptiste. If you had a Discord for your books, you would have a very loyal following of people fighting to do your arcs and your better reads. All right. So
I should steal Ryan Cahill's followers.
you will.
I'm so jealous of that man.
You would steal a lot of his readers, because your writing resembles a lot of the emotional beats that Ryan has in his books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, such a nice compliment. Thank you, Ryan. I'm coming for you.
He's absolutely right. Because we all discuss like things that we're reading, and what it is we're reading, and if it's a beta, if it's an arc, and it's fun, and that's actually a very good sounding board to find people.
This is why I was. That's what I was saying. Like I very, very often I hear from people contact me, for example, on X, telling me like they heard about my books on such or such Discord server. So this is really a small world where people talk very easily of the books they loved and all of this. So bless this Empires and Dust. I can't shake this cover from my head. It's such a beautiful cover. I love it.
Gorgeous.
And like those ratings he received for it. Like 4.9 stars out of what, like 1,200
and very, very well deserved. That is the truth.
Yeah, that's what. So, yeah, all right,
It's
let's
kind of
stop talking
wild.
about
But
such a successful writer.
your writings, your rating for Blood of the Kami is not too shabby either.
No, it's
No.
not so
You're
bad,
doing
but the
very
numbers,
well.
the
Yes.
quality of the reviews are good. Quantity is not there yet, but it's gonna happen.
It's coming.
No problem.
Yes.
Yeah, it's coming. So let me see. I wanted to share some advice with authors as well when it comes to beta reading. So, and please feel free to interrupt me and share your thoughts on this. But your book, no matter what your book is not for everyone. So many people will, no matter how great your book is, some people will not like it. This is the same for your beta reading. So not every beta reader is going to love your book and is going to finish it. That's why you need to be very detailed about your story when you contact beta readers. You need to tell them, okay, this is this genre, there is swearing, there is violence or steamy scenes, whatever it is, so that they will tell you, okay, that's not for me, or maybe that's for me, but that's not usually what I read. You need to manage expectations from your beta readers, because some beta readers are so nice, they will keep working hard on reading a book they don't enjoy, and that's not a great situation. That's not a great relationship you're building here.
Yeah.
So be as clear as possible with beta readers when you send them your book, or even before that, actually, when you start chatting with them about this beta reading. And the second part of it is, if you're not sure about a beta reader, or if this beta reader is not sure about your book, send samples.
Yeah. That's good advice.
Right. I don't think I have worked for the first time with a beta reader without first sending a sample of usually 50 pages. My usual sample is about 50 pages, and then if the sample comes back with good notes and the beta reader wants more, perfect. If not, then you didn't give much. That's fine. So what do you think about this? Did you happen to force yourself to read beta reading that you didn't particularly enjoy?
There was
Not
one.
so much.
There was one, but
Yeah.
as I got rolling with it,
I
got more into it.
I had one beta read that I had to be brutally honest with the author. I had to tell him, this is not a beta level book. This is an alpha book. This needs to go back to the draft board. You need to acquire more experience. You need to read more books. You need to get more energy, different things to write this thing better. This is an alpha level book. I had to be brutally honest. Vivian knows. We talked about it. Dude is loving. He's adorable, but the book needed more work. It was on a rougher level than the one I had to. That was very despairing about his book. And I told him, the book is good. He's got good bones, good everything. It needs more makeup. That needed bones. That one needed bones. That was rough.
And it does have good bones. But he did take that advice, and he read some books that recommended that he should, that will help with his concept. And it's exponentially better now. You'll be getting it.
That's nice. That's really good to hear. Yeah.
And but one thing I want to tell writers is, be clear on your expectations. Also, talk with your reader. Tell him, I want to know. Just give me your thoughts, or give me a deep dive and squeeze every juice from this book, because that also gives your reader the input he or she needs to know when reading and commenting a book, because the better reader can fall on the trap of stealing the voice of the writer when making comments. And that's a very, very real threat for a book and for a writer and for a better reader, because everyone will get damaged if that happens.
Right.
So it's a very...
I think, on the point of expectations, that's a very important point as well. But also, this is one of the greatest joy I had when working with beta readers is, like I said several times in this chat, not every beta reader is the same, and some will have more inputs on one side. So it could be the writing, or it can be the pacing, the character, the plot holes, and all of this. And when you just don't know what kind of beta reading comments you will have at the end. And it's so fun, like to work with a beta reader for the first time and having this surprise, this little Christmas gift at the end, like, oh, what kind of notes will I receive today? And but yeah, sure, you might want to tell if you have a very clear question, like about the plot, especially. That you should tell the beta readers what you are expecting, but you should also let them do their own work the way they want it. Like if you have a beta reader who loves to comment on the pacing, don't bother them too much with the writing, with the grammar or the spelling, or vice versa. If you have more of a spell checker, someone who can find every small mistake, don't ask them too much about like the depth of the character, like who did you root for. I was like, I rooted for good spelling, that's who I rooted for.
See this thing without the dictionary.
I rooted for your editor to not miss a single dot.
Right.
So, and on the point of expectations also, you might want to give a deadline to your beta readers, but don't make it sound like a deadline. It's more of a guideline. Exactly, a guideline. So usually I say, whenever, if you can, before July. Like I sent a bunch of beta reads in May, early May, and I said, if I can get it by early July, that would be great, but it's not urgent either. So because beta readers have a lot of books they want to read, either real books, published books, arcs, beta reads, and
beta reads
some
are
other
real
things,
books too. They're just baby books.
They are not real books yet. They are not finished. That's not a finished product. They are real manuscripts.
They are baby books.
Manuscripts.
They need to be cared.
Okay, so beta readers have many baby books to read, and then teenage books, arcs,
yes,
and
exactly.
finished grown-up books ready for the shelves. So when you give beta readers a deadline, you are not telling them, I need it by this day. It's like, if you can squeeze it between this book and this book, that would be great, right? Yes. So deadline, guideline, however you want to call it, I think is quite important. And now my last advice for authors when working with beta readers is you don't need to accept everything beta readers will tell you. You are still in charge, in control of your story. You don't need to accept everything, but you need to consider everything they say. Because something that a beta reader will point out, a mistake, a plot hole, is something that you might have missed or that can be improved. And that if beta reader caught it, other readers will down the line. Mm-hmm. So you need to consider everything that's been said, but you don't need to accept everything either. And Andrés can testify to this.
Yes,
I do not accept everything.
I think we had many conversations about suggestions I've made, and you've told me no many times, and many other times you told me yes, this is correct. So that it's the beta reader also needs to have a thick skin to the writer's comments, because the writer will more often than not tell you no, you're wrong, because which is it's fine.
It's funny. It's quite funny because I would almost never dare say no to my editor, whom I pay. But beta readers, I don't mind as much, and they work for free. I'm like, look, you want to fight on this? Let's fight. But my editors, I'm like, I'm not sure, maybe, So it's quite funny. But
it's a relationship of power. That's a reality, because money talks. and
Yeah,
you don't
but
want
I'm
to.
the one paying. I should be able to type.
But that's an issue because you pay them, and so you expect for their advice to be right. That's the issue.
Yeah. I think one example. Okay, I know you may have wanted to give earlier, but that just to. Just to give you a clear example, Andres has better read my historical fiction, Warlords of Owari, which is like pure historical fiction, no magic, no fantasy, set in 16th century Japan, and as well as Blood of the Kami, which is a fantasy. And I use the word minute in it, right? So they say he waited for a minute, or, let's wait for a minute. And he doesn't like the word.
No, I don't like. I don't,
drives him
because
nuts
minutes don't
to have
exist
the
as
word.
a time measure for them.
No, it did. And that's it. You know what? It wasn't widely used, but historically speaking, it did exist, right? But I understand but the thing is, for me, it didn't bother me. But it was great to have someone tell me about it, because I would never use the word meters, for example, in a context of ancient Japan, right? Makes no sense. But minutes somehow didn't bother me as much. So a bit better reader telling you might want to change that is important. And it's just as important for me to go like, no, it doesn't bother me. Let's move on. And then 3 pages later, you have the same comment. Oh, you use minutes here again. And dress, it's fine. So
tell me, make the first comment. I won't change it, and I won't bug you anymore.
No,
we know that.
We need this. We definitely need this, and this is even truer when it comes to historical fiction. You need people to put you back in your place and be like, "Are you sure that existed, or do you think they would have used this or said that?" But that can be an endless conversation. Better reading for historical fiction. So. Let's not get into this. I will leave the word minute for now, unless someone, a doctorate student, or tell me I'm wrong. It stays. So, again, you don't need to accept everything, but you need to consider everything your better readers will tell you. So, now, I think I've covered pretty much every point I wanted to discuss with you. We've talked about where to find better readers, how to work with them, what do you guys get out of it, and some more advices to writers and better readers out there, especially if they want to become better readers or if they are trying to become published writers as well. Now, how about you two? What is your next better read, or your current better read, I should say? Can you tell us some details about it and how it's going? You don't need to name the writer or the book.
I'm 2/3 of the way done. It should be done by this weekend. I do have till the end of June, but I want to make sure that the author has time also, to go through my copious notes. And but I'm enjoying it very much. It's a very good story.
Nice.
At the minute, I'm not working on any better read. I'm working through Heroes of Valhalla from C.K. Kesterton in order to read the arc for Shadow of Yggdrasil. So I'm working on that. My TBR, it's kind of endless at this point, but I had to close it because I have like 14 books tabbed ahead, and I hate to have so many books already plotted because I'm a mood reader, or was. But now I have a lot of arcs lined up, so I had to put it in their place. But if there's a paid better read, everything else goes on pause, and I get instantly to the professional aspect of better reading.
Absolutely. Trust me, my husband would like me to do that.
Yes.
I would enjoy that.
How many more dollars are you making from that? Zero. How?
Zero. Yeah.
Deserve so much more than that. I agree. But let's keep it this way.
I'm always free for you, Baptiste. You know that.
No, thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah, well, we'll see about that.
Right.
But I'm so glad to have beta readers. I have been blessed with amazing beta readers, including the two of you, and we've been chatting with some others in a small WhatsApp group. I may turn it into a Discord, following your advice at some point.
Yeah.
But developing a friendship with beta readers is so important. It's such a great part of the writer's life, and it takes some time. You need to I didn't start to see this until 2 or 3 books out, at least published. So the beginning is a bit of a rougher moment when it comes to finding beta readers, but so worth it.
That's good.
Actually, Andres, Vivian, sorry, I meant Vivian, have you read this book that Andres just mentioned, Heroes of Valhalla?
I have not.
It's very, very
I
good.
know you.
It is right up my alley.
Fan of, yeah, exactly. It fits right into your shelves, and so it's right up your alley. And you enjoyed, I think, my Viking story, so Blood of Midgard, and I think Blood of Midgard and Heroes of Valhalla sound very much alike.
I have to get to Army of One, but what I'm loving about Heroes of Valhalla, it's that it picks all of the myths, all of the gods, and then pulls them down to earth. Odin is a human, Tyr is a human, Thor is a human, and there's been very little magic involved in the whole thing. There's hints, and
so it's not the same.
It's not the same. No, it's very, very.
In my books, they are not humans, but they definitely suck.
No,
terrible.
They are very, very. It's very, very cool. I think people who love Viking stories should read Heroes of Valhalla. I'm hoping to finish it within a week, or a little bit less perhaps. But if you like Viking stories, go for Army of One from Baptiste, and go for Heroes of Valhalla from C.K. Kesterton.
Definitely.
And stop reading John Squinn's books, all right? Everyone read them already. Share some love for the smaller writers out there.
There you go. Well, I wore these for you, Baptiste. These are Hugin and Mugen. My crows.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Nice.
So the Hugin and Mugen, so the two ravens of Odin, yeah. A big part of my story, both of them. All right. Well, and let me say then, like, if anyone watching this wants to find beta readers, feel free to contact Andres and Vivian. I will leave their contact details in the description of this video. You cannot go wrong by getting in touch with them. They might not have the time for you, but they will definitely help you, I'm sure, one way or another. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining me today on this video. I'm guessing we'll do another one in the future about arc reading, because this is a whole different beast.
Yes.
And that will be very interesting to talk about this.
A lot of pressure with arcs.
Ring me up.
Sounds great. All right, thank you, Vivian. Thank you, Andres.
It was
See you very soon.
See you around. Take care.
Thank you, Baptiste.